Hello, Derek here. Coffee with Derek, coming from Madison Ave Studios in Owego. We come to you on YouTube, Facebook, and podcast. So like, subscribe, and share. Last week we talked about the school starting, and this week we're going to talk a little bit about anxiety. I'm not going to bore you with a ton of details, but I just wanted to talk about it. Some things that have come up in the last couple weeks in reference to that. So grab your coffee and grab your cup and let's do this. So, anxiety. This is all going to be personal preference, personal experience. This isn't anything I've read or done. Just want to talk about anxieties. I have a lot of anxieties. I'm a pretty easygoing guy most of the time. But my anxieties stem more from a personal inward problem. And I noticed that through my anxieties, I talk to people that have anxieties as well. And since I started health coaching, I see a lot of how anxiety reacts to your everyday um, persona per se. So particularly anxieties that I have. A couple years ago, many years ago, and as stupid as these might sound, there's still anxieties. I still get anxious about it every day. And a couple years ago, I fell out of the shower. I slipped and I fell out of the shower, hit my head. Maybe if I can, I'll get some pictures, throw up on the page. But I fell out of the shower. I was home alone. I was actually getting ready to go out with my wife, or my fiance at the time, and I went through the wall. I cracked my head. My shoulder went through the plaster, through the wall board, and I broke off the ceramic toilet paper dispenser with my head off the wall. So anyway, I got rushed to the hospital. I did not pass out. I was able to put myself back together. That's why I have my EMT glass here today, because I was actually captain of the ambulance corps. And I went outside. I put myself back together, called 911 I called on my radio, I had my two-way radio, called for help, sent an ambulance, got up to the hospital. I had to call my mom because my mom was the next of kin. And then as all this is going on, Caroline shows up. She sees the ambulance. She sees the police. Didn't know what was going on. Then she realized it was me. I'm covered in blood. We get in the ambulance. We head up to the hospital. We get there. And long story short, I ended up getting about 125, 135 stitches in my head. Actually goes from top of my scalp to my eye. I just missed my eye. So ever since then, I have an anxiety about showering. So, that basically the doctor said if I passed out, I would have died right on the floor. Right after that, Caroline got home and she said it literally looked like a murder scene. There was blood everywhere. It was on the wall. It was on the ceiling. It was on the floor. It was on the carpet. It was on the window. It was on the mirror. There was just blood everywhere. And the doctor flat out said if I had passed out, I would have died. And she would have came home to me dead between our bedroom and the bathroom. So we had a master suite. So, even to this day, here I am 41. This happened when I was like 24, 23. I have an anxiety about showering. I don't like showering. I don't spend time in there. I don't want to fall out. It's weird. But every day I think about it. Every day I shower every day. I think about going in the bathroom every day, and slipping, because this is not the only time I've ever slipped. And now that I have diminished feeling in my right leg, it's more prevalent that I slip sometimes. And, it's just an anxiety. It's one form and one level of anxiety. you know, through all my years of doing things, you get anxious about different things. My mom said I was always a worry wart, always a worry, worrying about everything, worried about everything. That's what I was used to do. Worry, 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 worry. And over the years, I still have my moments where I worry about things, but I don't worry as much anymore. Um, I've learned now to just kind of like, give it up, give up your worries. I'm far less anxious about things as I used to be, but there are my day to day struggles. I suffer from degenerative discs in my back. And right now I'm going through an episode where, I have numbness down my left leg, which I've never had before. It's always been my right leg. Now I have my left leg. So, looking at 6 weeks today, time of doing the podcast, that I've been in pain. And you get anxious, it's anxiety, it's time, it weighs on you. I'm a pretty happy go lucky guy most of the time, but you get anxious. Like, it's 6 weeks. I still have no relief. How much longer? I mean, if I can go back of all my time of injuries and back issues, like all those days I've lost not being able to do my full potential for the day, like how many days is that? I mean, I have to probably be into the years. Like, it's probably been years of back pain that I've had. And with that comes anxiety about things. Like, even when I feel good, I talk to my buddy Daryl about it a lot. And even when I feel good, it's like I'm waiting for the next time. You're all like constantly like, if I sneeze, if I get up out of my chair, if I trip on something outside, and especially now that I have the problems with my leg, I don't walk straight anymore. So that's another thing that I could throw my back out. So the anxiety, the anxiousness of that constant looming, like, when is it next? When's it going to happen again? Um, you know, those are just two of mine. I mean, people get anxious about everything. Uh, I've learned to kind of get rid of the rest of the stuff, the incidental crap, the things I don't have control over. I mean, I don't have control over this, but it's a looming anxiety that I have all the time. Um, and I've tried to learn to put it on the back burner, but let's face it, it's always there. Something I deal with constantly, all the time. Um, you know, and it's funny, like Caroline and I we kid around and joke about it, and it's like, but then I'm there. And when I first fell out of the shower, I get to my grandfather's house, and now there's two handles in his hot tub. And I'm like, what are the handles for? He goes, well, I'm twice your age and you fell out of the shower. Imagine what I could do. So he had handles to get in and out of the shower, so it was kind of funny. But, the anxieties I go through with the what's next and the worrying about the next step, like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to provide? And, it's a slippery slope because, once your anxiety increases, everything else diminishes. That's how I look at it. So the more I'm anxious about something, the less I'm going to do other things because I don't want to do that, or God, I can't do that. And it's funny because, some people say like, well, you were a fireman and this, that, and the other thing. And I was always anxious about being a fireman. Every time the bell would ring or the pager would go off and you go down to the fire call and you go thing, you're always anxious about that. Your anxiety's through the roof. Your brain is going a million miles a minute. The adrenaline dump goes into your system. Your heart starts racing, and you're just focused on getting rid of the task. But I guess my anxiety for that always was, I just had such a high level of respect for what I was about to do or what I might be forced to do or faced to do, that you have such a high level of respect for it that you kind of just do it knowing that, yeah, all these things could happen, but I can't think about that now. I got to finish the task out. And that's kind of how I go about my days. Like, yeah, I any day I can fall and break my ankle again, which is still broken, but I can't live that way every day. That can't be on the forefront of my brain because everything else will diminish. What I do, where I go, what I try to accomplish, who I hang out with, activities I do with my kids. I can't be anxious about that. So, when I'm feeling good, it's always in the back of my mind, but it's not running my life. It's not like I can't do this or I can't do that or I can't go out. I mean, there are some things that my limitations have led to me that I had to give up, like Firehouse. I can't do that anymore. I can't play softball. Fine. So I do other things. One of the things I really want to do with my buddy is we want to go on a hike, like an overnight camping thing. And I know that is probably, short of jumping out of an airplane, probably the worst thing I could do for my body, but it's something I want to do. And I've been like, even the thought of it, I get so anxious about it because I'm like, what if I do fall? What if I do trip? I mean, these are things that go through my brain every day. Like I think about it and then it freaks me out. And then I'm like, I don't want to do it. Kind of like flying and going places. Like, the anxiety that I have of the capabilities of my body. Like I want to go visit my sister in Florida, but I don't want to fly. I don't like to fly. I get anxious. It literally makes me sick to my stomach when I think about going anywhere. And it's not because of going anywhere. I want to go. It's what is going to happen between here and there, or from there to there back to here. What if I fall? What if I this? What if I throw my back out and I'm in Florida and my back is out and now what? I got to get home. I don't want to sit. I can't sit. Like all these things they just give me such anxiety and so anxious that it kind of like debilitates you. And I noticed through health coaching that, the day-to-day struggles that people have about things, it's like, some of it is absolutely warranted. It's like, yeah, okay. Like I'm anxious about gaining my weight back. Now that I've lost 130 pounds, I don't want to gain it back, but I have a system in place that as long as I follow the system, I shouldn't ever have a problem. So okay, now that one's gone. I'm not worried. I'm not anxious about it. So, getting over the anxiety, getting an outcome, being able to realize that, there's some things that are just not in your control. Don't worry about those. Focus with what I can do. So, and what you can do. So I know if I start feeling like my back is going out, I can call my doctor. I can call physical therapy. I can say, hey, listen, I feel like my back's going out. Can I come in? Around vacations, that's what I did. So I'm back to PT and we're working on it. I'll get through it. I'll get through the storm like I do every other time. But having that plan of attack, I get through it and then I can go for the next goal. So I just encourage anybody, if you're anxious about something, if you have any anxieties, we all do, everybody, I don't care who you are. I've never met anybody that's not anxious about something. But I think it's how you approach your anxiety and having a plan to get through it, or at least know your purpose for whatever it is that you're anxious about, just might help you deal with it. If it was truly my anxiety, then I wouldn't shower. It's not, but it is, because I think about it when I get in the shower, then I get out and I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't fall out this time, but I'll be right back there tomorrow when I got to get back in the shower. And you just don't think about it. Just take it, so many things we take for granted that, well, today, and then when's the next time, so, take your anxieties, it's okay to talk about them. It's okay to come up with a plan. I encourage that. Anybody doesn't matter what your anxiety is, talk it out, talk with somebody, come up with a plan, game plan, no matter what it is. And it might just be a goal, like my goal still is to do that hike. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know what it's going to look like. And even some of the conversations I've had with my buddy that I want to do this with, and his concern is the same thing. What if we get out there and, you throw your back out or you fall? How do I get you out of the woods? So at that point, just leave me there. Nature will take its course, but, I'm not going to let it stop me. It's going to slow me down. I'm not there yet. I know I'm not there yet, but I'm going to get there because it's my goal. It's a drive. I'm going to suppress all the anxiety I can about it because there's just so many things that are not in my control. But I'm not going to live my life that way anymore. Like I'm just gonna do it. And that's just it. And I know it's easier said than done. I know that, not everything is going to play out that way. Especially for me, because it's injury. It's not just situational stuff. It's about me personally and my body. And then, I don't want to hinder somebody else. I mean, a lot of the reasons why I left the fire department it wasn't because of my limitations. I didn't want my limitations to hinder what was going on. Like I didn't want to slow down what other guys were doing, or I didn't want to, something happened to me and God forbid I'm on a fire scene and I fall, or my leg, I get that cramp. And I understand that it could happen, but the anxiety that I was having about it just really caused me to be like, you know what, if it's just me, it's one thing, but if I'm going to affect other people, then I could never live with myself. So one of the things that played into my decision to relieve my active duty as a firefighter, not so much of my limitations, just I didn't want to limit the progress of everybody else around me. Again, same thing with this hike. Like I want to do it. I don't want to limit my buddy who wants to do it and whoever else comes with us, but I got to have a serious plan of attack, and I'll get through the anxiety and I will get there. I know I will. I don't know when. We've already pushed it off 2 summers, but it's on my radar. It's a goal. I have to get over my anxieties about it. I'm never going to be in tip-top shape. I'm in better shape now than I was 20 years ago, but it's just waiting for it to be like, hey, this is going to be the best time. This is going to be the best time. That's never going to happen. So I think we just need to pick a time and just say that this is what we're going to try and accomplish, and, set it out and lay it out and do it. And for my anxiety, having that plan and having that readiness, I think is what's going to get me there. So I encourage you to, like I said, if you have anxieties about something, reach out, give it up, and talk to somebody about it. Sometimes when I sit down and talk about it with other people, like what some of my anxieties are, I get reminded that I've been here before. Daryl always reminds me, hey, you know what? You've had this before and you got through it, right? So it'll just be like last time, right? So you just kind of need that affirmation from other people to say, you know what? You're right. I'll get through it and we'll get there and I'll get my goals, and just stay focused. So until next time, have a good day, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching.